Hello, fellow Pops. I'm Dr. F Scott Feil, and I'm bringing you a message from our sponsor at Ice Shaker. My diet's always been a little bit messed up most of my life, and I recently started trying to take back control of my health. And one of the issues my doctor pointed out was that I needed to make an increase in my protein intake. Now, I can't eat chicken breasts all day, every day, so protein shakes and powders have become a big help. Ice Shaker and its built-in removable agitator is an amazing product. They come in a bunch of sizes and colors, and you can even get inscriptions and logos on them. They're stainless steel, double wall insulated, and hold ice for 30 plus hours. If you're interested in purchasing one, you can click on the link in our show notes. Or if you're interested in selling them for your business and making commission, and let's be honest, if you're listening to the Professors of Profit vlogcast and you can consider yourself a pop or a professor of profit, you're likely interested in selling these as a side hustle. You can click on that link in the show notes as well. Or you can reach out to me directly on social media. I'm pretty available there. I love Ice Shaker, and I'm betting you, your patients, and your clients will too. Ice Shaker, let's shake things up. Now let's start the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Professors of Profit vlogcast. I'm your host, Dr. F Scott Feil, and I've got with me longtime friend, Brian Novitsky. Brian, tell us a little bit about what you're up to these days, especially in the world of medical device sales.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me. It's been a long time coming. I definitely keep up with all of your other podcasts and all your other people that you have on here to share their insight. So, thanks for having me on. So for me, I'm a medical device sales rep. So what does that exactly mean? So, I work with hospitals, surgery centers, individual clinics to essentially, really at the end of the day, is to help enhance patient standard of care. So, and that's really what it comes down to is, how can I help patients? How can I help physicians and supporting, staff make their job easier?
Yeah, I love that. It's not just like, hey, here's a device, good luck. It's about, giving them the Disney experience and really taking it up a notch, and really serving the patients and coming at it from a completely servant's heart point of view. Like it's not just like, hey, here's a walker. It's like, hey, here's the best walker that you can, use. Here's how you can use it. We'll get it delivered to you, put together and fit, whatever it needs. It's just taking things to that next level. So I love that.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what I always tell people. It's funny because they say, "Oh, so you're in sales," and it's like at the end of the day, I am, but I sell on service. So it's like, how can I, again, how can I help educate the patients? How can I help the staff? And I'm more as a consultant versus a sales rep. So I know I'm doing my job correctly if I'm helping them.
Yeah.
So sales come from service, like you're saying.
Yeah, I love that. So tell us a little bit about your journey into medical sales. How did this all come about?
Yeah, so it's funny. I'll take you back. So I earned a full athletic scholarship to Jacksonville University, where unfortunately had a couple surgeries that ended my career way too soon, sooner than I kind of expected. Majored in broadcast journalism. So essentially, my goal was to be a weatherman or a sports reporter. And obviously that did not happen. So I've always been competitive, always have a entrepreneurial, mindset. So, I grew up in a medical family background. It's funny, I never really thought about it, but my dad and my brother, they're both physicians. And they never really pushed anything on me. They really wanted me to develop into my own self. So more or less when it came about for medical, the combination of team environment, where you have, sports, competitiveness. And then for me, when I had multiple surgeries, that really tied in with orthopedic sports medicine. I was like, well, how can I kind of integrate all of them into one? So that's where I kind of took my journey into medical sales.
I love that.
And that broadcasting and the weatherman can maybe come back a little time.
Yeah, right.
We'll
Plans
see.
for retirement.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know about, storm chasing and all that. That's more of a leisure.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about why people in the healthcare field or professors or whatever should look into medical device sales. Like what are some of the pros you're seeing out there in the field?
I feel like nowadays there's so much opportunity out there. It's really more or less you have to find your niche. Really, for me, it really comes down to my why, and really my why, and perhaps this might kind of unfold in what other people think, is really helping improve patients' quality of life. So really, at the end of the day, I mean, if you're that kind of person where you like to give back, you like to help people, you like to be in a team environment where you're able to work extremely hard, and then you can kind of reap the benefits. So
Yeah, I again, I keep going back to medical devices as far as like walkers, crutches, canes, wheelchairs, just because that's my bread and butter, right? That's my niche. That's where I teach a lot of those fitting those devices and device usage, right? So durable medical equipment type stuff. But there's
exactly.
so many devices out there. You've got your oxygen stuff, you've got wound care devices. There's just a ton out there, right? So whatever your specialty is, whatever your expertise is, I feel like it would be a good alignment to be able to be knowledgeable about how this stuff is used, what patient populations benefit from it the most, and then maybe in your free time you start, helping with medical device sales and helping the patients, like you said, with the service aspect of things. It's not just like, hey, here's your new device. It's I'm kind of an expert in this. I do it all day, every day. I teach it. I'm going to help you by delivering it, setting it up, and then teaching you how to get the most out of it. So I think that's a really good alignment there. Speaking of which, it can be done as a 1099 contractor starting kind of part-time, right? That is an option.
Exactly, and that's where I am right now. So I'm a 1099, own my own distributorship. With Precision Medical Products, they're awesome from the top down. But for me, I started as a W-2 in my previous medical sales jobs, and knowing me, being competitive and kind of want to work extremely hard to have that entrepreneurial background, I said, well, let me take that step. And I went straight from W-2 into 1099. I said, you know what? I'm going to bet on myself, and either I'm going to make it or I'm not.
Yeah.
And, and it really comes down to, in really any profession, but I mean, I know that we're talking about medical here, but it's like, you get what you put in. So, you getting up every morning, what time you getting up? Are you like, head down, let's do this. But yeah, so 1099 is great. It's not for everybody. So, one option for people is to keep your W-2, but then you can do 1099 where you can hold multiple products if you want to go that route.
Yeah, I love that. And it kind of reminds me of Chris Gronkowski there. Shout out to our sponsor, right? Ice Shaker, who
The,
you've
the
got.
Gronk Bros. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we can get into that.
Yeah, you've got a relationship going back to the Jacksonville days, even with the Gronk brothers. So, he was really our first podcast episode of this show, and Chris talked about how same thing. He wanted to bet on himself and go all in on his thing with Ice Shaker, and he's done a great job with it. So, that entrepreneurial mindset it is mind. It's mindset. You have to have the right mindset to go at it. But again, why not bet on yourself, right? Why not work for yourself and try to make yourself rich? Because at the end of the day, the outcome is all on you, as opposed to working for somebody else for many, many years and making someone else rich, right? And then you're stuck to the 9 to 5 type thing again,
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, it's not. It's not made for everybody.
right.
It's you kind of have to be that oiled machine where it's like you really have to be wired differently.
Yep.
How hungry are you? How organized are you? How good are you with building relationships? Um, so that's that. And really quick, yeah. So shout out to Chris G, Chris Gronkowski. I mean, they're great family. Literally brothers to me. Back to your point about Jacksonville University, I was college roommates with Gordy Gronkowski Jr. He's the oldest of the 5 Gronk brothers. He played baseball there, and it just goes to show you. I mean, for all 5 Gronk bros, they're very successful, very hardworking people. They like to have fun. which is great. But they have their head down, they work extremely hard, and they're very passionate, very ethical, and they're awesome to call brothers.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about like some tips or tricks or pointers you've learned along the way. If somebody's looking to get into medical device sales and just getting started, what are some tips and tricks you can pass along?
Yeah, so I think if you're really trying to break into medical devices, it's funny because it's not an easy route where you know a lot of the people for a medical device, it's almost like a lot of the time you'll see where you start with business to business sales, where you're either doing payroll, you're doing selling copiers, and then from there you can really build up your resume. And the big thing for medical device, as any sales job, is what are your numbers looking like? Because any company or recruiter, they're going to be looking for that. So the biggest tips and tricks, I would say, really network. That's one thing. Get on LinkedIn, make sure that your LinkedIn profile is sharp. You have the key phrases, proper education, background. Go to any networking events that you can. I would go online, do any sort of research just to see exactly which direction you want to go. For me, where I'm in medical device I specialize in blood clot prevention, as well as DME, cold therapy, you name it. But there's so many different avenues. You really need to figure out what you're interested in, what you're passionate about, so that you can wake up early in the morning and just say, I'm going to hit the ground and running. So, those are like the biggest factors.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I hear a lot of common business principles throughout all of these episodes that I've done now and years of business stuff. And one of them that we really hear often is you've got to niche down, right? And finding a niche and your area of expertise is really important in any business, right? Because if you can really narrow it down and find that population that you want to serve and help, if you can be the solution to their problem or the answer to their question, you've got a good, strong chance to have a profitable business, right? Like for me, when I first started, my first business ever was my mobile PT practice, right? And we did that up in Waco. We started that. So the population was about 100,000, right? Which wasn't bad for, small city. But then when we moved to Wimberley here, the population dropped to 4,000, and there were already 3 PT clinics here in the Hill Country area. And I was like, do they really need another physical therapy practice here? Granted, mine was mobile, so it was a little different. I drove around to people's homes and stuff. But at the same time, I was transitioning from full-time clinical to academic, and I was teaching the INTEG course and lymphatics, right? So things started to shift a little, and I thought, all right, well, if I'm going to be the expert in integumentary and lymphedema, I know enough about them, but I'm not well-versed, so I need to really do a deep dive. I probably need to go get lymphedema certified specialty, right, a CLT. And then I thought, what if I only treated lymphedema mobile, right? So I transitioned the practice from mobile physical therapy to certified lymphedema therapy, right? And that's all I treated, because out here where I'm at, there's nobody doing that. There's just nobody within a 30-mile radius doing that. And the lymphedema products, the wraps, right? A lot of the like sleeves and clothing and things that they use to kind of help with lymphedema and the drainage and stuff, they're expensive. They're not covered by Medicare, they're not covered by insurances. So it's straight out of pocket, right? So I could even offer, those devices as, off the shelf, just, hey, here you go. Here's what I got, and that could be another stream of revenue there. So it's like a simple shift and pivot from mobile physical therapy to mobile physical therapy only treating lymphedema, all right, and helping sell the wraps and the products for lymphedema. Now it becomes another profitable business in the area. Exactly. where maybe going from a larger population to a smaller population could have been a tough one, right? Could have been a downside. Now it becomes an upside, because there's nobody doing it. So you're finding that niche, you're filling the gap, right? You're filling the void. and again, you're the solution, because otherwise they'd have to drive 45 minutes to an hour up to Austin to get this stuff and get treatment, you know?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, you're I mean, what you're doing, I mean, you're providing so much value to so many people. And that's, I mean, it's really what it's all about.
yeah. Yeah. And it's just making their life easier, you know, it's keeping them healthier. You know, and again, we got into these fields into healthcare because we do care, you know, and we want to help people. So, again, it's just finding that niche, finding that population you want to serve and you want to work with. Start there, and then, you know, you can scale out and you can do different things and you can grow and add to it for sure. But if you really get good at that one niche, you'll be in good shape, you know?
Yeah, and I'll just point it out here, just from like a medical sales, perspective. Whereas like, you walk into an office and the first thing that typical rep would do is blah, 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 blah. My name is Brian. Here's my product here. You want it to be prescribed. That's your goal. But it's like, until you speak to, the front desk, the PA, the physician itself, you need to learn and understand, more about their practice, what are their needs, because, you have to see how your product or products are going to fit in. And, from there, then you can determine kind of which route, but it all comes down to them, not you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's no sense pitching to somebody who doesn't need your service or product, right? It's just a waste of everybody's time. So, like you said, you got to build those relationships. You've got to get to know them. You've got to get to know their practice, right? Ask the right questions, and again, try to provide value to them up front before trying to pitch your service or your product or whatever it may be. But yeah, I definitely think that, with our background and knowledge in healthcare in general, medical device sales could be, a very good option. And I can even see consulting, being big, right? Physical therapists, professors, people who have really used a lot of the devices and done the research with them and seen how they work, could be a consultant for some medical device companies as well. So I see that as an avenue too down the line, especially as you get better with it and more versed in the different devices. So, well, Brian, thank you so much, man, for coming on and for educating on our audience on all things medical device worthy. Tell us a little bit about where people can find you and where they can reach out to you if they have more questions or want to follow up with you.
Sure. Yeah. So you can reach me, contact me anytime on LinkedIn. Again, my name is Brian Novitsky. I'm here to help. I'm here to network. I'm here to learn as well. So don't hesitate to reach out, and we can, toss some ideas around, and I'm here to help anybody.
Yeah, we'll put your link for LinkedIn in the show notes there so everyone can find it easily. Brian, thank you so much, man. Always a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it.